Hi, and welcome back to Your Future, Your Finances. We're continuing our conversation with Chris Kowalik of profeds.com about working with federal employees on their financial goals, which obviously is a topic that affects a lot of Montgomery County residents. So thanks again for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Last segment, we were talking about some of the perhaps non-financial things that hold people back from both their goals or planning for their goals. What was the next one you had for us?
Yeah, the next one that we have is no sense of urgency. A lot of folks, especially when they have a great employer-sponsored plan, for instance, federal employees, they have a ridiculously great employer-sponsored plan, and I call it the trap. And the trap is the employer-sponsored plan, in this case it happens to be the federal government, looks so good that they never raise their head up and look out to the future of how things change. And many of the government benefits that they have available to them end up morphing into something very different in retirement. And so that trap is that time where things look so good in your employer-sponsored plan that you never think that maybe you need to shift gears a little bit for the future. Yep. So that's a really big one, of course.
The next one, you speak probably often about not working with someone who can give you an independent perspective, a financial person.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, do-it-yourselfers have a far less likely chance of actually achieving their financial goals. Less than 25% of federal employees have ever consulted with a financial advisor. That's a pretty surprising number and very off-kilter to the rest of the American society. So of course, working with a financial planner allows an employee, or really anyone, to be more proactive than reactive to market conditions. You've got somebody looking after you to make sure that everything's on track. So definitely always encouraging consulting with a financial professional that specializes in the areas in which you really need that type of guidance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's the next one?
Yeah, the next one is cost and fees. Now, I don't work for free, and I know you don't either,
No.
but with financial advisors out there, for some reason, when it comes time to utilizing their expertise and their services, a lot of folks get hung up on fees. And fees, I mean, believe me, I mean, anytime we're paying for something, of course, we want to find value in it. But the bigger aspect of the cost is that low fees in the absence of value mean nothing. It doesn't matter how inexpensive something is. If it doesn't do what you need it to do for you long term, it's not doing you much good. So we don't want folks to get so zoned in on the actual fee that they lose sight of the bigger value that they should be gaining from that relationship with a financial advisor. Absolutely.
So do you actually help federal employees understand the different types of roles that planners play?
I do, and a lot of it is them recognizing the value that having that relationship with a financial advisor can bring. So for instance, advisors that are sitting down working with a federal employee, they're first discussing goals. What is it that they ultimately want in retirement? That's the first step to any plan, whether it's my plan to go to the grocery store or my plan to retire. I have to know what my end result, what it is that I truly want. Then we're able to explore different ways that we can get there. One thing I love about working with financial advisors is they're able to foresee challenges that an employee or a general client could experience. And so by, again, being more proactive instead of reactive, they're able to really advance the ball for their clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about having what to expect from working with a planner, or how to identify certain goals as things that often are communicated between the person and the planner.
Absolutely, and really it's being able to be open and having that conversation. And going back to the very first segment where we talked about kind of that feeling of being overwhelmed and maybe even a little bit embarrassed that we're not quite to the financial place in our life that we wanted to be, being able to lay that out for a financial advisor so that they at least know very, very clearly where a person's starting from. And then if you can articulate your goals of ultimately what you want, then we can devise a plan to get there.
Absolutely. How about CPAs, estate attorneys? Do you work with them or coordinate to work with them?
You know, it's really the financial advisors in the local areas in which I work with federal employees of being able to, when they recognize a client needs a particular type of service that maybe that advisor doesn't provide. For instance, they need a living trust. They need special tax advice. That's when they're going to reach out to other professionals that can assist them in providing good advice to their clients. So having a nice, big, coordinated effort certainly helps get the end result where we want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got it.
You have a bit of a wrap up here. It's kind of a summary, which I think always helps when people's watching. What are the few takeaways you would have for us?
Of course. The first one is don't be afraid to make decisions. When it comes to financial planning, that feeling of being overly anxious, overwhelmed, and freezing is never good. So we want to make sure that we're making good, educated decisions. And what I have everyone in my workshops always repeat is hope is not a strategy, at least not in financial planning. We actually have to make decisions to advance the ball. The second is consult with a financial advisor that you trust, and specifically one that is akin to the particular parts of your life that seem complicated. So for federal employees, of course, federal benefits are very frustrating and very complicated, and so you need a financial advisor to make certain that they understand how each of those work. And last, we want anybody listening out there, whether they're federal employees or otherwise, to push themselves to reach the financial goals so that they can have the retirement ultimately that they want.
Absolutely. Give us a website for yourself, and then we'll have to wrap up.
Absolutely. So federal employees that are interested in learning more about our retirement workshops, we do them all throughout the country. They can visit fedimpact.com, and they'll be able to see all the open workshops that we have and learn a little bit about us and kind of the philosophy that I have of teaching federal employees in that workshop.
And those are right on agency locations.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right.
My pleasure.
Thanks for appearing on the show. We have to take a wrap. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. Thank you very much.